Finding an apartment in Montreal can be really tough. There's a lot of confusing listings out there. There's a lot of tenant laws that you should probably be aware of. And when you're walking in this city, from street to street, the prices of different places can change dramatically. So in this video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about finding a place to live in Montreal in 2025. We're going to talk about things like average rent prices, best neighborhoods, maybe under the radar neighborhoods to consider, some laws you should be aware of as a prospective tenant, the best time to start your search, and what websites you should probably use when it's time to start your search. So first, let's start off with some of the basics. Montreal does have one of the most unique rental markets in Canada. Why? Because most leases start on July 1st, which is also known as moving day. It's a Quebec tradition, so if you come to the city on July 1st and you go down a neighborhood street, you're going to see a lot of moving trucks. And it also means that in turn, come late spring, the rental market and the postings, the websites, everything is crazy with listings. Vacancy rates are still pretty tight in 2025, especially downtown and in areas like the Plateau, Rosemont, and Griffintown. That said, compared to Toronto, compared to Vancouver, Montreal is still pretty affordable. But prices still have gone up sharply in the last few years. It's tough to gauge what average rates are because it varies so much from neighborhood to neighborhood, but to use the downtown core in Ville-Marie and let's say Griffintown as an example, a 3.5, also known as a 1-bedroom apartment in this neighborhood, you're not going to find anything probably under $1,900 a month. And I've seen 3.5s go for as high as $2,200 depending on the building, how new it is, and what kind of amenities they offer. 4.5s, also known as 2 bedrooms, in the downtown core, you're not finding anything under $2,400-$2,500 a month, and that's still on the low end. I've seen on average places go upwards of $2,800 a month in the downtown core. That being said, you move outside of the downtown core a little bit and you will find better prices, but still it is very expensive. Now let's look at some neighborhoods that you should probably consider. So Montreal's neighborhoods all have their own kind of vibe, and like I said earlier, they have their prices to match it. So here are some top picks depending on what you're looking for. So as we already talked about, Ville-Marie and Griffintown would be the best for you if you want urban living, close to downtown, close to all the offices, close to the shopping on St. Catherine Street, close to the old port. And the style of buildings, you're going to get modern condos, typically new builds within the last, I'm going to say 5 to 10 years, even some brand new ones because there's buildings going up every single day, it feels like. But in turn, these are the most expensive units you're going to find. If you want an artsy and walkable neighborhood, the Plateau is a very, very popular place, especially for young people. Full of parks, nightlife. The apartments are older, but they are very nice buildings, a lot of history, and you really can't go wrong. If you want a family-friendly neighborhood, Rosemont is a very popular place as well. It's quieter, it's a little further up from the downtown core, but there's still lots of schools nearby, and it's a pretty nice neighborhood. Now, if you want affordable rent, the most popular places would be the Verdun-LaSalle, Ville-Mart area, or Hochelaga, Maisonneuve. They're all connected very well by metro, a lot of older style architecture, but hands down the most affordable rent rates in the city. And if you need to have easy access to downtown, but prefer to be a little bit further removed from the city, Brossard, easily connected to the REM, a lot of up and coming new projects, new developments. It's still pretty expensive for not even being on the island, but you're easily connected to the city with public transit, and I should caution you, when it works. And then, of course, the metro runs all the way to Laval, so if you want to really be outside of the city and in Laval, you can find something there, and you might be able to get it at a better price than closer to the city. Now, let's talk about where to search for apartments in Montreal. There's a lot of options. I'm going to list a few, and then I'm going to tell you what I think about each one, because I do think there is a better, or more of a science, I guess, to go about this. So you're going to have Kijiji, and this is going to be mostly private landlords, people who own rental properties. Facebook Marketplace, same sort of thing, and there's also tons of Facebook groups, but be very, very careful, because although they're super active, there's posts every day, there are so many scams that happen on these sites. It's very, very, very bad. So I would urge a lot of caution when you're using these sites. Rentals.ca is a very popular one. They have rentals all across Canada. Centris is probably the best site to just gauge prices, and it's a Quebec, I'm pretty sure it's a Quebec only real estate site, and you can look for rentals and for places for sale, and they pretty much draw from all the other types of websites. So it's a very good tool to use, and they often only have verified listings. There's also a site called PadMapper, which is very good for filtering by area and price, just to also like Centris to gauge your price. And then if you're a student, there's a lot of university housing offices. So McGill, Concordia, and UDM all would have their own individual housing resources, which you could check to perhaps find more affordable housing for students. My personal recommendation would be to use Centris. Use that as your starting point. If you find something you like, you can contact the real estate agent you find. But I will say this as well, if you are looking for a newer build, most of the new buildings going up, they're owned by development companies who have their own websites. You can go see directly what their availabilities are for units immediately or in a few months. You can contact a rental agent and directly communicate with the building. Now, you're obviously going to have to make up your mind if you want to rent from a development company or you prefer a private landlord. There's pros and cons to each, but it's definitely something to consider. Next, we're going to talk about a few things you should just watch out for. So it's no secret Montreal has very old architecture, very historical architecture, and a lot of old housing. So it's very careful if you're moving into somewhere that's older. When you go to take a visit, look for signs of mold, water damage, especially if you're viewing basement units, heating. Some landlords, especially private landlords, they might not include heating in your rent, or and if you're going from a development company, you may have the opportunity to have all-inclusive rent. So it's always important to get every single detail before you know. And like I was talking about earlier, fake listings. Never send anyone any money before seeing the place in person. Always try to go visit the place that you're potentially going to be renting. And also, very, very important, we're going to build off of this, but in Quebec, by law, you do not ever need to pay a security deposit. So if someone asks you for a security deposit, this will more so happen with private landlords because of development companies. They know better. It's illegal. Do not ever give them a dime as a deposit. So to continue off on the whole rental laws and tenants' rights conversation, to be frank, Quebec has very strict tenant protection laws that protect the tenants pretty well. Once you sign a lease, your rent can only increase once a year, and the amount must be reasonable. So although there's no threshold set like in some other places, if you disagree with a potential rent increase down the line, you can take it to the TAL, which is the Administrative Tribunal of du Logement, so for renting, and they'll make an assessment of whether it's fair or not. And it's just that if you feel you're being treated unfairly, don't just accept it and not think twice. You do have rights and you can go and challenge it. Whether you win, it's up to the discretion of the TAL, but it's something definitely to consider. And then, like I said before, security deposits, illegal, don't do them. Now, when it comes to timing your search, the best time to start searching is from the months of March to May, because, like I said before, the majority of leases expire June 30th, so July 1st is the moving day. But if you're flexible, don't mind short-term leases or sublets, you can find stuff in the winter months, and you can just find normal lease contracts, annual lease contracts in the winter months or outside of the March to May window, because although July 1st is the popular time, there's plenty of other times where you can find stuff, and sometimes you'll find better things and there might be less demand for it because of the craziness around the July 1st day. So before we wrap things up, I just want to reiterate, take your time, but if you find a listing you like, move quickly because it's probably going to go pretty fast. If things are too good to be true, they probably are. Be careful on online marketplaces like Facebook and Kijiji. Move quickly, but do not ever rush into signing something that seems sketchy, or if you get a bad vibe from it, it's probably because there's something they're hiding or it's probably not the right place. So just always be super careful and do not hesitate to ask for a second opinion from someone else that you trust. So that's your kind of short little guide into finding an apartment in Montreal. If you found this helpful, share it, comment, let me know what you think. Let people know in the comments about what your personal rental experiences have been in Montreal, because I'm sure there's a lot of stories out there. And what neighborhoods do you like? So hopefully you all enjoyed this video. I'm excited to start making videos again and covering a whole bunch of different topics. If you've moved to Montreal, I hope you enjoy this wonderful city. It is truly just a great place to live, and there's a lot of really cool neighborhoods that you can live in and enjoy. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.